Happy Thursday, everybody. This is not my stuff. This is my dad's stuff because I'm living with my family, with my parents. I'm 28 years old. I'm living with my parents. I am officially a boomerang child. There's a lot of directions we could go with that, but I want to talk about what it's like to live with parents when I'm slightly older, because it's really not easy. Dear Mom and Dad, I love you. Don't take that the wrong way, please. Back when I was 22 in 2011, that was when I left the seminary and I lived at home, and that was a bad experience. It was a time of transition in my life, and during that transition, I lived with my parents because where else would I go? And as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, or avoiding thinking about that, one of those two, there was a lot of tension in the household. And it got really bad, and harsh words were said on both sides, I think, and honestly, I was more wrong than my dad was. A lot of the tension was between my dad and me. But it got to the point that I had to move out. I temporarily moved in with my sister, who was living in the same town at the time. And then after that, eventually I found my own place in the next town over. And by the time I found that new place, I had my own job, and I was able to make ends meet. But it got really nasty. Like, teenage rebellion, where no possible rational conversations can be held without no rational ones at all, period. That's what it felt like. It felt like I was a teenager again, fighting against my dad, constantly. Which makes it scary to live at home again on a certain level. But here's the thing. I don't think it has to be a bad experience to be slightly older and to live with your parents. There's nobody else in the world that I've gotten in more arguments with than my parents. And yet also, there's nobody else in the world that would do more for me than my parents. Right now my parents are letting me live with them as I go to college. And I don't have to pay rent, and I don't have to pay for food. I just have to pitch in a little bit with dishes and take out the kitty litter sometimes. Oh, and also sometimes it's nice to help my dad with all of his beautiful remodeling projects at the house. That all touches on a point that I made in a video where I talked about how I love my dad. I'll put a link up. I know that not everybody has this scenario with parents that are so good to them as my parents are. But I think that a lot of people do. That stereotypical story of my dad is the worst and he's done horrible things to me and I'll always be healing from him. That hurts me because one day I want to be a dad. And at least in my case, I'm determined to love my dad. And fortunately for me, he's very lovable. So, there. What am I doing to make this a better experience of living with my parents than it was in the past? The biggest thing is clear communication. My parents know what I'm shooting for in this time of my life, and they support me in my goals. That's huge. That's so huge. Back when I was 22 and living with my parents, one of the biggest tensions was that I wasn't around very much, and I didn't pitch in, and I just kind of freeloaded. Now that I'm 28 and living with my parents, I am going to make a concerted effort to pitch in a little bit more and to be around a little bit more, but also I've noticed that I have a little bit more space this time around. Why? Because my parents know that I'm putting a lot of time into study and into finding an income. Being a full-time student takes a lot of time, and my parents know that. And they support me in getting a degree. And since I'm adding a part-time job on top of that, they support me in that too. And they recognize that's going to take time away from being at the house. And I appreciate that a lot. I think one of the greatest potentials for tension when it comes to living with our parents when we're older is that they care about us a lot. And as they care about us, they want some very specific things for us. Like, my dad does not want me to end up just scraping by for my whole life. He wants to know that one day I'll be able to have the financial resources to have a family. He pushes me to push myself because he sees the gifts that I have, sometimes better than I see them myself, oftentimes better than I see them myself. And he wants me to take advantage of those. So while it's easy to write off my parents and say, oh, they don't understand what I want in my life and they're so set in their ways, maybe sometimes to some degree that's true. But oftentimes, it's not. My career choices, I'm probably going to end up working for a nonprofit of one sort or another. Maybe I'll create my own nonprofit one day. Maybe this will be a nonprofit. And, that's not what my dad would expect of me, and I know that. But he also knows that I'm taking very real, concrete steps that set me up for that. And also set me up in a way that if my crazy dreams, because I'm a crazy dreamer, don't pan out, I won't be stranded. I won't be left without any options. Honestly, the older I get, the more respect I have for my parents. The more I appreciate how much they give to me. Even at times when I'm being a butt about it. Alright, that's all I got. I'll talk to you later. God bless and ciao. Hey, check it out. This is... I'm a vandal. Do you see this? It's so weird. I'm hanging out with a bunch of 18-year-olds. I'm 28, and I'm in classrooms with them. I think that I'm closer in age to some of my professors than I am to my to my peers. It's fine, you know? It's where I'm at. Just own it. We'll make it work. Classes are going great. I'm loving them. Today was day 2 of school for me. By Thursday, it'll be day 4. I'm taking a calculus course. I haven't had math homework since 2010. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good semester. Weird, but good. Alright, I'm running away. You take care. Good luck on your studies if you have any.